Hey BookTube, it's Jackie. How's it going? If you're new to me and this is the first time you're seeing my face, hello, what's up? My name's Jackie. I sit on my floor and I talk about books. So if that's why you're here, because that's what's gonna be happening today. If you are not new to me, thank you for always tuning in and the continued support. Really do appreciate it. So today for you, I have my weekly wrap up. This is from July 3rd to July 9th and all my reading shenanigans in between. And although I do not have a lot to talk about, what I do have to talk about, I thoroughly enjoyed. I had a great reading week, but this reading week was definitely the week of, non-smut. So I don't really have a lot of smut. I have like more pure romance to talk about, which I think is actually really, really cool. So without further ado, grab yourself a drink, have yourself a seat, and let's get talking some books. Okay. So the first book I completed was Hollen the Soulless by Denali Day, and this I gave 4 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed this. This is the first installment to the Dokiri Bride series. And I definitely plan on continuing with the series. I had such a good time with this book. This follows Hollen and Jocelyn. Jocelyn is a lady who is set to be in an arranged marriage with a complete and total monster. I mean, his nickname is the Butcher. He is vile and evil and cruel. And her father says, you're going to marry him, essentially because he is blackmailing her father because her father is nailing the queen on the side, and if it comes out, his whole realm will be destroyed and his people will suffer. So the daughter is paying for the sins of the father through her own flesh and blood by marrying this god-awful person. And on track to go to her nuptials, she is captured by Hollen, who is the chieftain of the Dokiri clan, who lives up in the mountains, and this is his last rite of passage of becoming a man. He has successfully tamed a wyvern and completed the other trials and tribulations of his culture to become a man, and the last challenge is to claim a bride of the Downlanders, which is what they call the people that actually live below the mountain. He claims her, takes her to his religious site, and proceeds to mark her with a scar that is his form of possessing her. And this is where their captor-captive romance starts. And in their culture, they do not tattoo. So he's completely covered with scars. And this becomes a long-running thing throughout the book. These scars, these markings. And Jocelyn is trying to learn her way through this, all while trying to acknowledge that she's still loyal to her dad. And Hollen, who had my heart from page 1, I mean, this guy is the sweetest guy. I fucking love him. He's so adorable. I love him so much. He just takes it. Jocelyn's kind of a brat in the beginning. I mean, understandably, she's been kidnapped. She doesn't really know what's going on. And she knows that her people will suffer if she doesn't do what is requested of her. So they both are loyal to their cultures, but their cultures are not matching up. And Hollen sees that Jocelyn is better than this. She's better than what is between her legs. She's better than a bargaining chip. And he wants her to see the beauty that she is. And he just, so many major moments happen in this book that he shows his devotion to her over his own people. And it's phenomenal love story. I really, really enjoyed it. And the thing I really enjoyed the most about this book is, don't get me wrong, I love the smut. I love it. Give me a good sex scene any day of the week. Fucking love it. This book didn't give me a sex scene, but it gave me one of the best fade to black scenes I think I've ever read. This fade to black scene gave me just enough to whet my appetite, but not make it so wet that I was dripping. It was fan-freaking-tastic, and I don't know how Denali Day did it. I just, out of the blue, I was just enticed, and I wanted more, but I was okay that I didn't get more, because that build-up, that steam, that longing that she created was fantastic. She did such a good job with that scene that it was enough. It was enough. And I have never been so impressed to not have a sex scene in a book. I really, really enjoyed it. I only gave this book a 4-star because I think if she had written a sex scene, it would have been fucking stellar, because the buildup was amazing and on point. So I think her sex scene would have been just as powerful and just as intense. But the buildup, the fade to black, and then the aftermath that we got, because normally fade to blacks, you don't always get the aftermath. We got the direct after. The only thing you don't see is the actual act itself, but you get the before and you get the after. And I thought that was stunning. She left just a little bit to the imagination, which is never a bad thing. That's never a problem. And I really enjoyed the way she did it. She did it well. She did very, very well, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I was rooting for this couple the entire time, and I loved it. I had such a good time with this. It was an audiobook, narrated by Shane East, and he did a stellar job as well. Freaking enjoyed it to all get out. And the bonus to the audiobook that I got on Audible actually included the novella Sven the Collector, which is the second book I completed this week. This is actually the prequel to Hollen the Soulless. This follows Hollen's parents, Sven and Colette, and Sven, who is wanting to become the chieftain, so he is going above and beyond, trying to successfully complete any task he can, has successfully completed all the rites of passage of becoming a man, and now he's going to collect his wife, and he finds Colette, who is the last born of 6 children, the only daughter, a Spitfire who can hold her own and can stand toe-to-toe with any guy. And he finds her in the Twist, which is this crazy ass forest that separates the mountain from the lowlanders, and he sees her in the Twist completely unafraid of anything that she could experience, and that's where he takes her. But Colette is brilliant and turns this abduction into Sven's worst fucking nightmare. She sets a trap while literally flying in the air because she was captured by a wyvern, and sets a trap to convince him that she is hurt, and when he comes down, she stabs him. Their romance starts off with stabbing, which you already find out in Hollen the Soulless, because you learn a little bit about Hollen's parents. There's a very sweet scene where he tells Jocelyn about his parents, and this is their story. And so we just get a little bit more in depth of it, and it's fantastic. Just once he comes to, because she decides to save him, and makes him promise to get her out of the woods without calling his wyvern, it just becomes this trek through this dangerous wilderness territory where literally everything's trying to kill you, and they are just bickering like the old married couple they become. It's fan-freaking-tastic. I love the banter between these two. Sven was just constantly saying, "You are going to be the death of me," but at the same time, he throw these little like flirtations to her, and she flirt back with him, and it was super fucking sweet. It was adorable, because she did not take his shit at all, and it was great. I was like, man, you're like the couple that people want to be. It was back and forth, but you could tell that there was love there, even though they weren't realizing that it was love at the time. It was a beautiful little romance story, again, with a great fade to black scene. You got a little bit more innuendo with this one, because I think Sven was a little bit more of a lech than Hollen was. I think he was more of a dirty bird than his son, but that's okay. It was a really good time, and I really, really enjoyed this. This definitely solidified that I want to read the rest of the series. Fantastic. This novella got 4 stars from me as well. Very much happy with this one as well. Again, another audiobook by Shane East. Very well done. And the last book I completed this week, and the only physical one, was Love, Theodosia by Lori Ann Goldstein. I have never read Lori Ann Goldstein before, so this is my first intro to her, and I freaking adored this. I only gave it 4 stars, but this one might bump itself up, just because on initial gut reaction it was 4, but on further retrospection I might make this a 5, because I thoroughly enjoyed this. This is the fictional love story of Theodosia Burr and Philip Hamilton. Theodosia Burr being the daughter of Aaron Burr, and Philip Hamilton being the son of Alexander Hamilton. And if you know what happens between Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr kills Alexander Hamilton in a duel in, I believe, 1812, I think. And this takes place in 1801, right? Let me double check that. Oh, 1800. The prologue is in 1801, and then it goes to 1800, and it's about a year and a half of the life of Theodosia and this angsty, beautiful, romantic, gut-wrenchingly pretty love story between these two people. And this is a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but it is not a straight retelling. It is a nice homage to it. I am not the biggest fan of Romeo and Juliet, never have been. Reading in high school, I did not see romance. I saw 2 13-year-olds committing suicide. I didn't see that. I'm like, oh, I don't know I'm supposed to find romantic about this. This is a fucking tragedy. They're 13. But the way it was utilized in this installment, it definitely saw the tie-ins and the Easter eggs, if you will, and I really, really enjoyed it. I loved this book because of the way it was written. There were so many well-written prose and words. The way Lori Goldstein used her words, she conveyed emotions that I didn't realize I had, and I didn't understand at times. I know how the story ends. It's historical fiction, but it's still very based in much of actual history. So she did take liberties, but the liberties were not any major events that were transposed. Everything that historically happened actually happens in this book, which I thoroughly enjoy. But so knowing the ending of this book before even reading this story, I didn't understand why I was rooting for this couple so much, but I definitely was. I was rooting for this couple left, right, 7 Ways Till Sunday. I wanted it so bad. And it was so lovely. And I loved the way she wrote. She wrote like people used to talk, and people don't talk like that anymore. They just don't. There is one passage in here, and I wish I would have labeled it, but it's just stunning what he said. Devotion from the divine must thoughts align. The skin lived in by one, created by another, growing ever tougher. A coat, a shield, an armored breastplate, so thick nothing can penetrate. Not life from without, not life from within. Why not, then, life of sin? For we strive and writhe, hoping for that feel of being alive. That's a poem that Philip says to Theodosia early on in the book. And I'm just like, foreshadowing much? Like, that was just awesome. Not only do you get a great romance between Philip and Theodosia, you really get to see Theodosia and all of the world that was placed on her by her father. That is historically true. She was very active in his campaign when he became vice president under Thomas Jefferson. She was very active in his realm, in his world, and you got to see her do that, and it was utilized well, and it was just, I fucking love this. And then you tie in this beautiful love story. It was great. I feel like I have a lot more to say on this, so I think I might do a full review on it. So if you guys like to see that, let me know, because I really enjoyed this book. It was definitely, I'm very glad I picked this up. I do not regret picking this up at all, even though it took me a little while to get through and it was kind of slow in the beginning. Once I really got into it, this love story just latched on, and I was crying at this book. I was laughing at this book. I was blushing at this book, even though there is no real smut in this book. But the scenes that I got were just, My friend coined it perfectly when I was trying to tell her about some of these books. She's like, so these aren't panty droppers, they're just panty moisteners, right? And I was like, exactly! These are panty moistener books, and it was fantastic, and I loved it. So definitely, I loved it. Definitely a good one. I highly recommend this one. I really enjoyed it. I loved the history that was used with it. It is historical fiction. As far as we know, this love story never took place, but both of these people did exist. They grew up together. They went to the same school. So who knows? Maybe it actually did happen that way. We don't know. But it definitely put a smile on my face, and I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, 4 stars. Possibly could be 5 later. But let me know if you guys want to see a review on this one. Just let me know. Okay, well, that is all I have for you. That's all I read this week. I am starting a new Audible book on Sunday, and I don't know which book I'm gonna pick up next. I don't know. I might have to flip a coin for it. So, all right, well, that's what I got for you guys today. I will see you guys all soon with another video.